Ladies and gentlemen, the Malian farmers, together with their collaborators, put in one of the most devastating victory of all time yesterday. Let's give a round of applause for the farmers of Mali. Ladies and gentlemen, let's clap for those boys. These boys put on one of the most devastating performances I've seen from any fighting force on the planet. We've seen the Russian Ukraine. What the farmers did was a close combat annihilation of the EIGs. A lot of commanders were kissing the canvas. Man, if you got hungry in Menaka yesterday, I'm very, very much assured. If the people you are angry or hungry against were the farmers, you're going to get served. What we witnessed yesterday was both surrender. There is a notorious leader of some bad boys called Boubacar Ubel. According to the information we have, Boubacar Ubel is notorious to the point that when you look in his face, that face was going to be the last thing you see. But ladies and gentlemen, as we speak, Boubacar Ubel and his most notorious lieutenant, after witnessing this team of combat yesterday that was beyond their imagination, Boubacar Ubel has surrendered. To be honest with you, God created good and bad, and I believe there are bad guys, but there are some guys that when the bad guys see them, a neutralization reaction is going to occur. Now, let me give you the biggest revelation yesterday, and you would be surprised. Some of you won't be surprised, but ladies and gentlemen, 36% of the elements, the militia elements that were neutralized yesterday, look at the percentage, 36%. We can tell you the numbers, we can present the pictures. The pictures are scary. They were European fighters. What were the Europeans doing? And to be honest with you, I got to say another thing. What military base are these European fighting forces that kissed the dust yesterday in Mali, in Menaka? What barrack, which camp, which army base were they staying at? Uzbekistan fighters were there, Sudanese fighters were there, European fighters were there. There were a lot of foreign fighters that, actually kissed the blue knuckle yesterday of the Malian Armed Forces. Let me tell you the beautiful part of the story. It wasn't the farmers only that went out yesterday. The farmers was outside, the GATIA Militia was outside, the Dogon forces was outside, the African Corps was outside. So it was a green smoke. Everywhere was all smokes. Ladies and gentlemen, the farmers of Mali, what the victory they recorded yesterday, it was the fashion of the victory. I know you all must have been seeing some pictures of an Azawadian commander that was on the ground with the red insignia all over his scalp. Yeah, he got tased. He got tased in the middle of the battle. I'm not talking about a distance. This was a close combat, less than 70-meter combat. Yesterday wasn't a counter-insurgency operation. I think yesterday in Menaka was war. I think it's like all this epic war in the past when this city come to fight this city and everybody meets in a location and the battle starts. That was what we had yesterday in Menaka. For the sake of this video, I'm going to be dropping some of the pictures that that YouTube will be able to approve. Now, another thing that makes me bother is when you look at the type of weapons, right? The PKMs, if you look at the type of guns and the type of arsenal these bad boys came with, you will be like, damn. But ladies and gentlemen, the farmers did not disappoint. And according to the information we had, the farmers did not lose a man The ones that were lost were actually from the Dogon forces, and about 2 of them, and the ones that were wounded are already in the hospital. But the GATIA militias were on rampage. According to reliable sources, they said the GATIA militias were running after them. You see, Mali, to be honest, I think at this point we should be thinking about something, right? Have you all thought of, like, if we can, advise those guys to stop, kissing the dust? Just, can they come back home and let us fight the true enemies of Africa? I mean, those guys are brave, even if they are kissing the dust from left to right, from right to left. But why not let's all unite and fight our one true enemy? Why put your life on the line? Definitely, and I can guarantee you that the farmers of Mali are growing with this war. They are not just fighting, they are growing into the war. And with the way they are growing now, they are coming up with a lot of experience. I mean, yesterday was a hit, to be honest with you. Equipments were recovered, satellite phones were recovered, drones were recovered, tactical weapons were recovered. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm worried that European fighters are now on the soil of Mali, trying to compete with the indigenous forces of Mali that knows the terrain more than them. No matter what you think, who you are, the farmers of Mali still have a better experience than you do. And we saw the results yesterday. Guys, it was a devastating victory. What do you think? What do you think about this victory? You guys must have seen a lot of pictures online, but this is just the summary. I will come back later and give you the real story of everything that happened, like step by step, bit by bit, because it's sweet. The farmers, look at how they went outside. Aerial, UAV, farmers, GATIA, Dogon, African Corps. Everybody was outside. And ladies and gentlemen, they put hands and feet on the bad boys. As we speak, even the 72 virgin proportion are being reproportioned. 72 virgins cannot be allotted to a single person anymore. Now they are getting about 5, because the numbers that went to the feet of, they were so much to the point that if 72 virgins was the promise, you won't be getting more than 1 when you get to that place. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy 7200 signing out. Enough said. But before I go, I'm back. I love informations like this, but I'm back.